Bouncing back from bankruptcy, episode 2, attempt number 1. I think it's quite important to say that because it's going to hold me to account, because inevitably I'm going to fuck this up, but this just means I have to keep going and you guys get to see that real and raw, authentic behind the scenes that I was banging on about in the first episode. If you're watching on video, which some of you probably will be because I'm quite shameless and don't really give a shit, you will see that it's not like a fancy head attire. I've got a towel around me. I've just been having a shower and something just popped into my brain, into my mind. And I just felt compelled to share it whilst it was still fresh, because there's no rhyme or reason to these podcasts. They're not going to be going out on a specific day or a specific time. I'm basically going to be going against the grain about everything I know and teach to an extent about podcasting and what works and how to spike algorithms. So for that reason, I'm just going to brain dump whenever I feel is appropriate, hence the rather fetching pink towel. So anyway, if you're watching on audio, you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, and this is completely irrelevant. So yesterday I had a conversation with somebody that really landed, and I thought that it's actually quite appropriate for anyone that's going through bankruptcy or financial difficulty at the moment, because it really helps to contextualize things. Now, the comment that was made was actually about somebody else, and they were just referring to the fact that you can have nothing but have absolutely everything. Now, what they meant by that was this particular individual was a really charismatic guy. He was really knowledgeable, very insightful, the sort of person that you gravitate towards. They've got fantastic energy and a lot of value to add to the world. But in terms of finances, they had very little. But a bit like myself, this person's very resourceful, always manages to get what it is they're looking to sort of achieve, and they're able to travel and facilitate a relatively nice life for themselves. But that comment was really powerful. Having nothing, yet having absolutely everything. Because if you're listening to a podcast around bankruptcy, chances are the shit has hit the fan for you, or the shit is about to hit the fan. And that is incredibly daunting, especially when you don't know what to expect. I think there's a lot of shame and stigma still around bankruptcy. We all like the hero's journey, but usually we like to hear that from the point of, I was up here, then I was down there, but now look at me, I've been bankrupt and now I'm a multimillionaire. And as I said in the first episode, this is slightly different, because actually what I'm doing is sharing from the wound. I want to kind of document the bounce back. I want to document that rise, and that's not necessarily just in terms of your financial position, but that will be all the other areas of your life as you're like emotionally rebuilding, or perhaps we're reprioritizing our health or other relationships which may have fallen by the wayside. In my case, I had a lot of people that disassociated with me because of what was going on in my life, but equally a lot of other people, new people, better people, gravitated towards me. And I also think it's quite important to focus on the positives as opposed to the negatives. Quoting Tony Robbins again, where focus goes, energy flows. And I think it's quite natural as humans. Like if you've ever posted something on social media, for example, when you might have 100 comments, that we fixate on that one negative one. That's the one that instantly draws our attention, and that we have that impulse to react to or respond to. And this is something that I've actively been retraining my brain to not do really over the last 2.5 years, because I think it's normal to do that. And I think it's something that historically I have always done. But actually, for every one knobhead out there, my belief and my personal experience has been that there's been 99 angels, 99 people who will support you and will have your back. But to go back to the original point around having nothing, but yet still having absolutely everything, that is exactly how I feel. And there's so much talk out there about gratitude, which is an overused word. And I used to bang on about it as well, but without really having a true understanding of it. I think actually the point in my life where I've had the least, I have actually experienced the most amount of gratitude, which probably sounds a little bit mucked up if you've not been there. but it's how I've chosen to look at situations. And we're not always in control of what happens to us, but we are very much in control of how we respond to that, which is something that I pride myself on. So even at the point of losing absolutely everything, knowing that everything that I've worked towards my entire life financially has been completely wiped out, there's a lot more to the story than that. But just in terms of the financial side, the house, the car, the life savings, absolutely everything gone. And not only that, but finding out that you're actually in millions of pounds worth of debt, it's extremely overwhelming. But I don't believe in coincidences. And on the day that I found out this information, and there'd been lots of red flags and things that were sort of pointing in this direction prior to that. But when the big bombshell happened, if you like, earlier on that day, I had actually been interviewing a lady who had survived human trafficking not once, but twice. The first time was with a organ harvesting organisation, global organisation. And the second time it was like a guerrilla extremist group. And this lady was kept in solitary confinement. She experienced sexual abuse on a daily basis, was kept in a very confined, dark space, wasn't treated very well at all, and was enslaved until such time that she was actually rescued. Very inspirational lady. But there was so many times during my own experience that I don't want to say I drew comfort from that story, that perhaps sounds a little bit crass, but I reflected on what other people go through and continue to go through. When you watch films like The Sound of Freedom, and it brings to the forefront of your mind that 10 million children are sex trafficked every single year, again, that brings context to what we are going through as well. And I say this not to minimise how we feel in these moments, because we're not AI, we're not robots. It's important to feel the pain, and we wouldn't be human if we weren't experiencing a level of anxiety or stress in these moments. But the key is not to be consumed by them. One of my previous podcast guests on my original podcast, Kerry Katona, she's been bankrupt on 2 occasions. And the second time it was actually her husband who had financially betrayed her, defrauded her, and she was in a position that wasn't too dissimilar to mine. And she said something that really stuck with me. She said, "You can kick me down, but you will never be able to keep me down." And that's something that I kind of live and breathe. But at a time where we had absolutely nothing financially, I was acutely aware that not only did I have my health, but my 3 children were healthy. I'm blessed to have 2 crazy dogs that I mentioned in the first episode. And as long as you've got your health and your children have their health, absolutely everything, bar none, can get rebuilt. And just taking appreciation for the simpler things in life, which is thankfully something that I was doing anyway and had been focusing on a lot more since COVID, like going for walks in the woods, being members of the National Trust for less than £100 a year for the entire family, and being able to go to all these really cool places, sunrises, sunsets. It all sounds really cliche, but these are the things in life that actually bring me the most joy, and they're things that you can do on a shoestring budget. You don't need fancy gym memberships. You can train at home. You can go out walking. You can do YouTube videos for breath work or meditation. You don't always have to be attending groups or having mentors or being in masterminds. And all of this stuff has value, but I think we have to work with the tools that we've got. And what this whole experience has made me do personally is to really focus on what I have as opposed to what I don't have. And that is very different from not having aspirations or goals. But actually, I think the key to life, to not emotional mastery, because I don't think that exists, but emotional peace, is being happy and grateful for what we have, not needing anything or anyone to complete our happiness, not outsourcing that to anything else, to anything or anyone else. And the things and the people that come into our life should be there to enhance it. So that's something I definitely take a lot more personal responsibility for. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I spend a lot of time with entrepreneurs, with highly successful people that on paper have absolutely everything, but it can be very dangerous to attach your identity to a specific thing, like being a business owner or being a multimillionaire. Ultimately, we are individual people, we are sovereign citizens, and we shouldn't be attaching our self-worth to any particular accolade or achievement. And again, we see this quite often with retired sports stars or people that have, athletes, people that have performed at an elite level that have spent all their life striving towards a certain goal or outcome. And even when they achieve that, whether it's a world champion or a gold medal at the Olympics, where do you go from there if you've attached your entire self-worth to being this particular person or achieving this particular outcome? So the message for today, I mean, there isn't really one. This is just more an extended voice note of what's going on in my head. But it's very interesting because even now, and people don't say it with any malice, but I get comments like, oh, you'll get back there, like you'll get back on top. And actually I find that really insulting because they haven't really taken the time to understand what I am trying to achieve. And for me, the fact that I'm sat here in a nice house, albeit it's a rented house, with 3 beautiful children, and, you know, I can work flexibly. I'm in a very privileged position that what I do as a self-employed person can fit in around school holidays and school drop-offs and pickups. I've got access to this beautiful country that we have before us and actually can live a very healthy and fulfilled life. You think, well, whilst that's not to say I might not strive for more to achieve more, to say I'll get back on top is sort of insinuating that I'm not where I want to be now. And actually, if you look at my happiness levels today, I mean, albeit they are plagued by hormones and many meltdowns. Sorry if you're watching on video, I don't know what's going on with this this towel. I would say that I'm by far happier. I mean, happiness is a very difficult thing to measure, isn't it? But I would say overall, I am definitely more happy and at peace now, 2.5 years into this horrific process, than I ever was before it. And sometimes good is the enemy of great. On paper, I had what a lot of people would class as an idyllic life, but actually stripping it all back and having no money, no properties. I'm actually driving around in a 17-year-old car at the moment that a friend gifted me. You know, there's no Range Rovers, there's no lavish lifestyles anymore. But isn't that interesting that I would say that I'm actually significantly happier than I was back then, because true fulfillment and true peace doesn't come from these external things. So that's today's insights. That's next time I'll try and wait until I'm fully dry, I'm sort of dripping wet, and sugar, and a bit of a rush, and then now running late for my 12:15 appointment. So on that note, I shall catch you guys soon. If you've listened, and I think very few people are listening, please share this with anyone that you think might get value from it. Until next time.